Well, hello teachers and pianists. If we haven't met before, my name is Jana Williamson and welcome to my home piano studio in the suburbs of Chicago. Today we're talking about how to teach the Beethoven Sonatina in F major, the second movement, which sounds like this. Such a fun piece, very light, very happy. This is the second movement of the sonatina where the first movement sounds like this. I do have a video on that. You can click the link in the description or just click up there and you should be able to access that pretty easily. So this movement is in rondo form, which is really common for Beethoven to use as a last movement of a sonatina or a sonata. This is also, there's only two movements in the sonatina, which is similar to his easiest sonatas that he wrote, such as Opus 49 number 1 and number 2. And I do have a video about the easiest Beethoven sonata, so again, I will link that in the description as well. You can find this piece, I'm looking at it today in this nice Sonatinas book from the Succeeding with the Masters series by Helen Marley and Crystal Zimmerman. It also is in Jane McGraw's Sonatina Masterworks Book 2, as well as in Keith Snell's Level 4. Now, I have to say, Keith Snell's books, the Baroque and Classical in particular, are not always my favorite because I don't love his Baroque editing. However, I really like that in these books he includes all the movements to a sonatina. So whenever you have a sonatina, if there's two movements of it, they will both be in here. If there's three, they will all be in here, etc. So I do like the sonatina selections that he includes in this series, and it's worth checking out. All right, so what do our students need to know? What skills do they need to have in order to play this piece well? And what are the things that we're going to work on in this piece? Well, first of all, we're in F major. If they've already learned the first movement, clearly they are familiar with F major, with their scales and their chords. In this movement in particular, Beethoven does open up the hand to use some of those seventh chords in that root position, which is a little bit bigger. He also has, just as a way of a caution, this chord, the C major 4-note chord with the triad on the bottom and the octave on the outside, that happens 3 times in this piece. It happens in measure 8, and then again in measure 71 and measure 82. So I think with the roll on there, you can have even a child with a smaller hand be able to play it, but it's just worth noting, if you want to assign this to a student, have them try this first. Try it with 4 in the middle, try it with 3 in the middle, kind of see, can they navigate that chord? And then just know places like measure 15 and 16 are just a little bit more open than some of the other sonatinas at this level. You might want to have a slightly bigger hand to play this. But I think even with a smaller hand, you can navigate it. You just have to be ready for those things. So we do have those F major chords as well as the C7s. And so just, whenever we play Beethoven, we want to make sure that we're thinking about harmony, what key is he currently in, and paying attention to that. This one does modulate both to C major, which we would expect because it's the dominant, as well as D minor for section C in measure 37. It's lovely when you get to play that minor part. It's a little more lyrical and a little more, sad for lack of a better word. So I already mentioned section C, and I think I said the word rondo already. This is in a rondo form. A rondo form is A and then a different section, B, and then we come back and play that A section again, and then we go and do something different like C, and then we come back and play A again. And you could conceivably keep going, just layer, a different new section in between returning to the main theme. It's a little bit like a song with a refrain where you keep doing the refrain in between verses or different things over and over again. I think it's a form that's very easy for students to understand. Just the idea that you keep revisiting that same A section. It does make it fun because once the students have learned the A section, they've likely learned, a decent portion of the piece. Of course, the challenge there is that students tend to play the A sections too fast because they're easier than everything else. Or sometimes, like in this piece, section C is very long. It goes from 37 all the way to, I don't know, really, you could either say 66 and then we have a transition, or you could say that section C goes all the way to 74. So it is quite long, and sometimes students kind of get, bogged down once they're on that third main section of a piece. At any rate, it's a fun form, and you can really enjoy being dramatic with rondo form because it's kind of like you get to the end of a B section or a C section and you think, and now we're back to A. So it's one that you can enjoy quite a bit. This, interestingly enough, this is in 2/4 time, which is also the time signature for the first movement. I don't know many sonatinas that use the same key signature and the same time signature for both movements, so that's kind of a unique feature here. All right, we need to focus on articulation on this for sure, and one of the main places for this is at the very beginning. The left hand is marked legato, and should be, of course, very light because it's not the melody. And against that, the right hand should be a very bouncy staccato. And then hold the dotted quarter note, and then slur the C sharp into the D. So that idea that one hand is doing a lot of bouncing while the other one is just playing legato. I'll do it in slow motion. I'm just kind of going to exaggerate my bounces, which is what I would ask my student to do. Now that wasn't perfect, but that would be the way I would want my student to practice, to really get the idea very clear in your brain and in your coordination that the hands are doing two things. Of course, the right hand is not just playing staccato, so you might need to do just a lot of right hand work to exaggerate its articulation period so it's very clear on when you're bouncing and when you're playing a slur. The turns in there are very simple. You just go around the F. That's measure 4. So 1 and 2 and good additions should help you know how to execute that turn. All right, one little fun Beethoven-esque characteristic that we have in this piece is a lot of final chords that emphasize the dominant going to the tonic. So if I start in measure 89, we've had the 2, 5, 7, 1, 5, 1, 5, 7, 5, 7, 1. So whenever you're playing Beethoven, just look for how many times he does 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 5, 1 at the end, because it's kind of a fun Beethoven hallmark. He really likes to insist on that 5, 1 business. A problem area for something that's technically difficult is measure 25 to 28. We have this right hand figuration with one singular note and then 4 16th notes coming down in kind of a blocked chord sort of thing. I have circled the 2nd through 4th 16th notes. So 1, E and A, those 3 notes, I've circled those in my students' music here, and we blocked it. And we talked about what those chords were and just did them coming down. And then we added the first set of each 16th. And you can notice I'm doing a little bit of a wrist roll to play the first note. Roll over. Sorry. You also have to be able to go from your 5 to your 3 if you're going to play that truly legato. So 1, 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2 to finish. And then a little chromatic scale to finish off that section. Most students love chromatic scales. They're not difficult to play. The Sonatina Opus 55, number 1. Second movement has loads of chromatic scales, so if your student likes those, this piece or that one are great selections, very equally leveled. Okay, then we do have quite a few dynamics in this piece. That's very typical for Beethoven style, including some echoes, so be sure to look through those. And then my favorite part is this little cadenza in measure 71, which is marked ad libitum, which means you can take liberties and do it as you wish. So we have this transition beginning at 67 with a lot of F major and C7. Ending on a C7 big huge chord with a fermata. Make sure your student holds it. So that's just how I decided to play that in tempo just now. I could have gone much faster than that. I could have taken time at the end. This is a great opportunity for your student to be creative and for you to have fun talking about where do you want to speed up? Where do you want to slow down? And then by all means, make sure that you have talked to your student about what a concerto is and that Beethoven wrote 5 wonderful and very important piano concertos. And I would encourage your student to listen either to some Mozart piano concertos or the Beethoven piano concertos to really understand what a cadenza is. That's the moment where the soloist shows off, gets to decide, even improvise if they want to, what their cadenza is. So this should sound improvised or soloistic, or like you're kind of searching to get back to, once again, that A section, which we've heard so many times at this point. I hope that gives you a few ideas on how to teach the second movement of Beethoven's F major sonatina. I wish you all the best in your teaching. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button on this video, and share it with a colleague or friend if you found it helpful.